So one rainy day in between Christmas and New Year, me, my brother and my uncle and my father met to play a long-planned and long-awaited game of Black Seas. In my fleet I was using two first rates which were both overgunned. I was playing as a Spanish, and I took a single galley, large galley, just because it annoys my dad, so I thought, why not take one to troll him with? My brother, whose fleet you can see back there, he took three third rates, which I think he had upgraded the majority of them to be sturdy, and a single gunboat because he had the points left over. Now that gunboat comes up later and does something quite spectacular. My uncle and father were both playing as the Royal Navy, and they took, well, my father took a first rate and two third rates. My uncle took about 5 frigates and 3 brigs. You can see there the deployments, and that I think we were both trying to plan to pin to move each other. I think I put my galley too far down, so I think it would be more effectively deployed him up front. But that is what it looked like at the start of the game. So again, I think my galley was just far too isolated down there. First term just moved forwards, taking pop shots at each other. The actual third, my dad's battle lines got into action quite quickly because of the way they were deployed. I really think the weight of their broadsides basically almost excluded anybody else from getting involved in that engagement, or else we just get sunk. So there we are, me and my father's ships are engaging each other there in the first broadside of the game being delivered. Now I think the Jacob's French fleet did a very good job. You can see 3 third rates there screening my fleet while I tried to deal with my dad's first rate and his 2 third rates. Now there you can see my uncle's done a great job of managing to surround my galley and fire at it, although not many of his brigs hit, but that's more down to luck of the dice. And throughout this game, he did a good job with not having as many ships as he did, or not having as powerful ships, about managing to capitalise on the ships that he had and bring as many of their broadsides to bear as possible, which, to be fair, is manoeuvring a lot better than I could have. I would just crash them all into each other. Meanwhile, me and my dad's larger rated ships, first rates, third rates, were just sitting there and just punishing each other. It's unbelievable the amount of damage these things can put out and take. Their broadsides were averaging out enough to sink or cripple a smaller ship, but obviously they're such a powerful ship they were just managing to absorb the firepower. So my uncle was trying to manoeuvre his ships around, breaking away from my galley to try and get as many of them over towards where the fighting was going on as possible. And again, Jacob, my brother, did a great job of just trying to screen them and keeping them off me for as long as he could. And this is where those gunboats come back into play. You can just see them in the back there, just behind the ship that's been caught on fire, behind the ones with the big sails. And they were sailing around the board, constantly getting stern hits on the opponent. And he's just managed to shoot them. They only got one shot at it, and they managed to hit and start a fire on that frigate. And that'll become important, well, now. Because when my uncle rolled to see the test, he managed to set it on fire. The first rate had already sunken them by that point, but when he rolled to put the fire out, it exploded, destroying the frigate and making a really one of the good heroic sort of huzzah moments of the game, which was one of the highlights of it. In this picture here, you can just see the gunboats just behind the ship that's immediately in front of you there on fire. Again, as we came towards the end of the game, it broke down, became a natural point where we were trying to turn our fleets around, getting back engaged, manoeuvring to get those last broadsides and those last strikes to try and cripple the enemy ships as much as possible. So the game come to an end, and this is how the board looked. We managed to burn, sink or take 3 of their vessels. One of my dad's third rates had struck its colours, and my uncle's, one of his frigates had struck its colours, and then obviously the frigate that exploded. My dad's remaining third rate had been reduced to half points, been crippled, but his first rate I think was still okay. I'm pretty sure it was still okay. My brother's fleet, the French, they did great. Being sturdy really helped them just to absorb the firepower. None of their ships got crippled, and they took barely any damage during the action thanks to that. I was pleased with how my fleet performed. My 2 first rates put out and just absorbed an absolute mass amount of firepower. They did really well, got stuck in there. The first time I managed to get my first rate stuck in there to do what they do, just sit there and just deal out death. My lead first rate, my flagship, almost got crippled, but was about 10 points off from being crippled. So she did good, she did really good. I wasn't too happy with how my galley performed. She just kind of sat there and shot a lot, well, got shot at and missed a lot and failed to do much really. So, ayo. I thoroughly enjoyed the game, spending time with my family. What a great thing to do on a rainy afternoon to put in some hours. And we're already talking about and planning the rematch, which I really look forward to.